All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Website Development, or AWD1111 Database-Driven Web Development course, I've been doing a series of video presentations. The first set will be they're all from Flavio Cope's TheValleyOfCode.com and some PDFs he's created. So the first set is going to be client-side JavaScript. I've already done 5 videos on the HTML handbook. I've done 8 so far. This is the 9th on the CSS handbook, and then I'm going to do a series on the JavaScript handbook. That'll be a review for client-side JavaScript. Then we'll jump into server-side by going through Flavio Cope's Node.js handbook and React handbook. Now, in the past, he had also had an older copy of an Express handbook. I'll look at that. We may go through that one as well. I don't know yet. All right. So, like I said, we are in the CSS handbook, and I am on page 139 of 175. So, in other words, there's about 35, 36, whatever pages left. And this is going to talk about media queries. And I'm going to do this a little bit differently. First thing I want to do is I want to show you that I would strongly suggest, and you probably have heard me say this before, so sorry if I'm saying it again, but that you go out to traversymedia.com. Now, this is Brad Traversy's website. Brad is a self-taught developer who probably knows as much, if not more, about stuff than anybody I've ever met. He's got tons of stuff for free out on YouTube, and he's got courses as well. The reason I'm telling you this is I've taken several of his courses. In fact, I'm a Patreon of his, which means I'm a follower and I pay a certain amount of money every year. All right? But I would recommend that you go out, and if nothing else, you know, if that doesn't tickle your fancy, so to speak, go out to youtube.com and just put in Brad Traversy, and you're going to maybe be surprised, maybe not, at just, you know, if I go here to Traversy Media, notice he's got almost 2 million subscribers, and he's got stuff on virtually, you know, everything. As far as for the AWD1000 class, he's got stuff in there on HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap, jQuery, etc. And for the AWD1111 class, he's got crash courses on Node. He's got crash courses on React. He's got crash courses on MongoDB. He's got crash courses on Express. He's got whole applications with the MERN stack in here. All right. Well, I took a class with him a while back, and he wrote this program. I've modified it a little bit, but it's basically his, and I'm just being honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up another session of Visual Studio Code. So I'm just starting up a brand new session here, okay? And let's see. No folder open. So let's see. Can we go in here and create a new folder? File. Okay, let's do it like this. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call it Media Queue for media queries. So there's nothing in it right now, okay? And I'm going to, you don't have to do it this way, but I'm going to do my old CMD. And I'm going to do a CD to desktop / media queue. Remember, this is empty, and I'm going to say code dot. That'll open it up in Visual Studio Code. All right, this second one here that I open up, I don't even need that anymore. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to come in here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my index .html file. There'll be nothing in it yet. That's okay. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a new folder for my CSS. There'll be no JavaScript in here. All right, so in my index.html, I'm going to type in here HTML:5 and hit tab. All right, so what did that do? Well, you already know this. All right, it started to create this stuff for me. I've got my head section is basically set up. Now I will change this to media query example. Okay, all right. This is not going to be very big. I'm going to put in 5 different divs. And in the first one, I'm going to say, I'll give it an ID. And we'll say here, wide screen. All right. And we'll put inside of here an H1 that says widescreen on it. Okay. Now, I'm going to copy this down. Whoops, I'm going to put it in there 5 times. Now, you might say, well, why would you even do that? Well, we've got widescreen, and then the second one we'll just call normal. And we'll put in normal. Then we'll make another one that's called tablet. And with the tablet. And this will be smartphone. And although I didn't do this yet, let's see if we can do something in here for landscape. All right. Now, doesn't look very grand or glorious or anything. All right. Move that over. Move each one of these over a tab. There we go. Now, if I run this, it's sure not going to look like much. There it is. Not much. But, so what does this even have to do with media queries? I'm going to show you this right now. First, let's go in and in our CSS file, well, our CSS folder, let's go in and create a new file, and we'll call this styles.css. Okay, before we even do anything, let's make sure we can hook up to it, okay? So let's put in our link tag. rel equals style sheet, href equals css / styles.css. And pretty much we're done with this HTML file. To make sure this works, let's just say body, background, red, and now that's red. Good, so that works. We're wired up okay, so that's a good start. I don't need that anymore. So let's put in a font family. And we'll use the one that starts with Arial. So Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif. All right, let's just make the background a gray. So $CCC, make it a decent gray. Let's have our text color be white. We're going to do a text align to center. And we'll put some padding at the top. All right, and that will be 100 pixels. All right. So what's changed? Not much. We've centered it. We've got all this. All right. And again, you might say, what does this even have to do with media queries? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hide all those H1 tags. So if you look at it now, it looks like it did before, except it's just blank. And that's fine. That's going to be our opening screen. And what we want to do is we want to bring in widescreen, normal, tablet, smartphone, landscape, etc. And we want to bring them in based on the size of our screen. And we're going to do that using media queries. All right, so typically you put your media queries at the bottom. And the first one we will do will be, and again, the order in which we do these won't matter. We can typically you either go from lowest to highest or highest to lowest. I'm going to go from lowest to highest. So this will be for a smartphone. All right. And I'm going to just do an @media only screen. This has nothing to do with printing. And max width of 500 pixels. I'm going to explain everything that this means in just a minute. Body, background, red. Okay, so in English, what does this mean? This means that if the width of my screen is 500 pixels or lower, the background of my screen, the background, all right, should turn red. Let's see if that works. So it's gray, but as I start to narrow it down, when it gets to 500 pixels, there it's red. So that is kicking in at 500 pixels. All right. And there even is a way, I should have done this beforehand. I apologize for not. But let's see. JavaScript to show screen dimensions. You can simply use this and this. How to detect the screen resolution. Get the size of screen of the current web page browser. Oh, there was a nice little code snippet that I'd seen before that I've used. Maybe it was in W3 schools. I don't know. Let's try this. So I will actually, I'm not going to add a JavaScript file just for like about a line or so of code. So let me bring this in. Let me go back to here and back to here. And after all of this stuff, let's put in a script tag. Let's put in that. So I'm going to knock this down in size so you can see all of it. So let text equal total width plus screen width plus this plus the screen height. Now it looks like there was a plus here. Did I miss something? Oh, that's fine. I don't need all that other stuff. All I want to print here is basically the size, the current dimensions of my screen. All right, so let text equal all of that. Oops. And let's see. How about an alert of text? I don't know if this is going to do what I want it to do or not, but we're going to see. So I bring this up. And it says this is my current width and height, so it's 1920 by 1080. That's fine. But now I'm going to cut it down. So this is only printing when this starts. So how do I want to change this? Let me think about that. Okay, I'll come back to it. I want to get the rest of this done so you can see what we want to do here. Now, not only do we want the body to change to red when we do this, but we've got that tag with an ID of smartphone. We now want that to show. So our smartphone, H1, just the smartphone H1, we want that to display in a block format. What did that do? Again, I'm going to do a file, save. I'm going to jump back into here, and I'm going to cut down the size of our screen. So notice it now says smartphone. When we get bigger than 500, it changes back to gray and the writing goes away. Now you can hopefully guess what's going to happen here. All right, so this was the first one. I'm going to just put in virtually all of them here, and then we'll go back and look at each one individually. So after smartphone, we're going to have tablet. All right, tablet. And the background color for our tablet will be blue. Again, I don't care right now about using hex values or whatever. This will be the tablet. And this will have a max width of 768. Okay? What this means now is once we cut down and we're 500 pixels or lower, our background should change to red and the word smartphone should appear. If we are greater than 500 pixels, so if we're at 501 and we go up to 700, and it should be 68, not 58. 768, that's a typical size. Now it'll be blue and it'll say tablet. So let's see if that all works. Let's do a file save. And we will again bring this up. It's gray. It's now blue. All right, it appears as though I've got a problem. Not a problem. All right, I'll tell you what the problem is. I like to say I did this on purpose, but I didn't. All right, I did an override here because what I want to do here, all right, is instead of saying only screen, I really don't even need that because I'm not doing anything else with it. So I can say media max 500 pixels. But now what I want to say here is min width 501 pixels and max. So this says in that range. Let's see what that changed. It's red. Now it's blue. So now it is somewhere right here. It is somewhere between 0 pixels and 500 pixels. As soon as it gets to 501, it turns blue. As soon as it gets past 768, it'll turn gray again. There you go. So everything's working right now. So I've got my smartphone and I've got my tablet. So let's copy this down again. All right, and the next one will be just normal. So it'd be like a PC or a laptop. So here we're going to have a minimum of 769 pixels. And we'll have a maximum of, let's make it 1200. And then we will make the background rather, we will make it green. And what we want to show here is our normal. All right, so how does that look? Well, notice now it's got normal, but it's not green, it's gray. So that doesn't really look right. Oh, okay, that's fine. We'll fix it right now. Because I can't spell, evidently. That should have just said green. Like that. All right, now, you will notice there it's normal. When it reaches a certain width, it's going to go back to gray again. Normal. Tablet. Smartphone. All I'm doing with these media queries is showing you size discrepancies. And the last one will be for a widescreen. Not a widescreen, a widescreen. And this will just be from a minimum width of 1201 pixels. We don't need a max. And here we'll just set it to black. And this will again say widescreen. All right, so if we save this and we run this, you notice it's now black. As soon as it hits 1200 pixels, goes down to green, normal. As soon as it hits 768 pixels, it should go down again to blue. As soon as it hits 500 pixels, it should go down to red. So this is a very simplistic program, yet it's a very powerful program. And it's showing in here, all we did was add some divs. All right. Now there's supposed to be something in here in landscape. I forgot to put that in. I don't remember what it is offhand. But what I'm going to do is I'm at 21 minutes. I'm going to pause the video right now and figure out how to put this in here so that it's always showing. Okay, just give me a second, please. All right, there's probably a better way to do this than what I've done, but I'm just going to show you this. I ripped this off from the internet. So I've got two variables in here, and they shouldn't be vars. They should actually be lets. So we'll say here, let width equals 0. Let height, equals 0. And anytime you do a resize for the window, all right, so anytime you do this, call this function, which will find the current width and the current height, and then do a document.body.inner.html, the width times the height. Now, what that will do is it works. I've already tested it. But rather than showing here, all right, rather than showing the words laptop, etc., or normal or widescreen or whatever, it's going to show the size at all times. Kind of maybe this is better. So let's go take a look at this, and you'll notice that right now it's 1374 by 697. What we're going off of here is the width. So let me jump back into here. And what we have said in our media queries, starting from the top, is if we've got a minimum width of 1201, and you notice this is more than 1201, it should be black, and indeed it is. Now I'm going to try to knock this down and show you 1201 and then go to 1200, and then in that time it should turn green. So let's see if that works. So there's 1204, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now when you look here, 1, it turned gray. All right, so there's a problem with our code. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at the code. So this said a minimum width of 1201, make it black. This is a minimum width of this and a maximum width of this. It should be green. Not sure why. It's got to be something having to do with it being between 1200 and 1201. All right. Now when I go again and I go down to 501 pixels, in fact, what was the 768? It should turn blue. So let's see if we can get to 769. And there's 768. Again, it's not grabbing it right when it's on the cusp. It's making it gray. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It didn't do that when I tried it before. So now when I get down and I'm at 501, and then beyond, now it turns red. All right, I kind of like this one better, but what I'm attempting to show you here, and hopefully what I've shown you, is how we can use media queries to change things based on screen size. Now, with the example that I just gave you, this is a very simplistic type of example. All right, and I don't know if I put in this, if I can put in 768.999, if it'll take that. All right, and for here, 0.999, and I can try it here with 0.999. Nothing is ever precise, so that one looks okay. And again, I've never tried to use a decimal value with pixels. I don't know if this is even going to work. But let's grab this. All right. So again, does still, now it's at 1202, it's gray. Huh. So it's not recognizing here the minimum width of 1201. That should be 12. I can make that 1200.1, and I'll make this the maximum width of 1200.0. See if we can get it to change that way. So then this one would be a maximum width of 768.0, where this would be 768.1, not 7668. All right. Finally, that would be 501.1. Whoops. And this would be 501.0. I'm just trying to be precise here. So let's see, there's 1200. Still doesn't like that. See that? Yeah, now it doesn't, it must be something with those. Let's see. Oh, pixels. So this should go all the way up to 500. All right, so it actually went up to 501. That should be 500, and this should be 500.1. That looks better. This should go at 768 now. So as soon as it hits 768, boom, it jumps. So I can change that one to 767.9. Then this would become 768.0. Again, I'm wordsmithing here, so to speak. So that at 768, that is kicking in. So this should be 768.9, and then that should be 769.0. So I'm just going to leave it like that, but I think you hopefully at least get the idea. So this was a little bit of breaking off, but when I come back in just a minute, I am going to pick it up on talking in Mr. Copes's talk on media queries for responsive design. Be back with that shortly.